Doing good, fellas. I'm doing good. I'm out here, just living the life up, another hotel room, and just trying to do the best I can. I reckon.
That's all you can do, right? That's legit all that you can do. Dalton,
Unfortunately,
what about you? What you been up to?
Oh, nothing much. You know, just staying busy with these kids and got some stuff going on around the house. So as you know, we were talking about it earlier. I'm currently eating dinner right now, so I've got a couple of pretzels on the floor right now that I've got hidden off the camera. So I'm very hungry. But other than that, no, it's good. It's glad to be back. Oh, I'm excited about our conversation tonight. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. So, Nathan, this is something that you had actually brought to our attention, and it was this sliding rule. So, as you can see here, it's kind of been going through replay, and I kind of went through and bookmarked some of these things that I definitely saw as we had talked about it, just so that way it's a little bit easier for us to kind of follow through on this and on this stream. But I mean, as you can see here, it's such a controversial thing because the video above this, you'll see why it's so bad. But this tweet, as you can see here, says, imagine sliding 1.5 yards away from the defender and still getting a personal foul drawn because NFL officiating is trash. And you can see that again, this doesn't seem malicious. Yet it's a league where they do nothing but protect the quarterback. And I get it. That's where probably majority of your cap goes from team to team. But it's almost getting out of hand at this point.
yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, you can look at this one, like the one that's been playing on replay. You can look at that. That's not. I mean, he's not going to kill the quarterback there. You see some that are blatant and like okay, like that was excessive, and like you can agree with some of those, but the one that's been on replay here, you have a lot of people who get mad when something like that happens, but you can't, right? Because you're telling me the quarterback can run full speed while another defender at him is running full speed, and you get a half yard away from him, and the quarterback can give himself up. Probably 10 out of 10 times at that point in time, the defender has already launched for the hit.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, and you have all these people saying, "Oh, that's a dirty move. That's a dirty hit. It's trash." Then take out the quarterback run. Then if that's the case, then the quarterback should not be allowed to run the ball past the line of scrimmage. Plain
right.
and simple. That's the only way that you're going to fix it. Because if you don't, you'll see a scenario like you did when Kenny Pickett was in college with the fake slide. That defender didn't launch. Kenny Pickett fake slid and then ran it in for a touchdown. You can't like that's the problem with it. Now, like after you see that play, all the defenders out. Well, I'm launching now.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's illegal in college, but the only way you're going to fix that problem is either you tell the quarterbacks to suck it up, be a man, you're playing football, or you just take away the quarterback run. I, that's my issue with it. And there are some that are aggressive. Don't get me wrong, that are just absolutely blatant. And it's like, okay, that was terrible, but like if you're running full speed at somebody and you stop within a half yard away and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna get myself up so I don't take a hit. Like I said earlier, that defender's probably already launched. The hit's coming no matter what. And yeah, it's gonna be a low hit to the head, but that's because they're going to hit you in the feet, in the ankles, or in your knees. You know what I mean? So yeah, it looks bad, but it's not that's not what was intended. And I get sick and tired of that being a penalty because once that defender's launched, there's not much they can really do to stop. I mean, you're not going to stop mid launch. I mean, you can't. I mean, the only way you can fix it is tell the quarterbacks not to run past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm not sure exactly what the solution is because it was like you're saying, and that is the video above here. As you can see, like Patrick Mahomes, it's a fake slide. And I believe that this was a game from last year. Yeah, this tweet was made in 2023. But you can see there, fake slid, and he ends up getting the first down. Tied game 14-14, 5 minutes left in the third, fake slide. And then he gets through. Because what are defenders supposed to do? Right? I mean, that is the name of the game. And it really gives these quarterbacks an advantage. And
It does.
they're never gonna throw the flag on a quarterback for fake sliding. They'll never do that. But what they'll do is they're quick to throw it. And like you're saying, like, yes, there 100% are going to be times where the hits are just really unnecessary. The hit on Trevor Lawrence from the Houston Texans linebacker felt that was very unnecessary. Like I do feel like he kind of launched. at him. There was a way to avoid a little bit more contact as he was going down. I think there was a little bit more time for a reaction. And whatever, 3-game suspension, I think that that's warranted. But at the same time, because I think that that was something else that I've heard even kind of talked about, is offensive, like it's because what's bad is, even if the defense were to really launch at that player, what always happens afterwards? There's a fight. You just had a really rough hit on my guy's quarterback. The O-lineman's coming to protect their guy more times than not. But then all of a sudden, you know what happens is it's offsetting penalties. It's a late hit or it's an unnecessary roughness hit. Offense is fighting, and then they throw it. And it's just still like, so no matter what, it's a lose-lose. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they've got to figure out a way to fix this. And if that means eliminating quarterback run, and see, I don't think that that's it, because then that takes away people like Lamar Jackson, takes away people like Josh Allen. Like, that's a component of the game. And you even break that down going into the college level. I mean, people like Jalen Milroe. It's just, I feel like that takes away and that kind of eliminates that and forces them probably to play different positions that they shouldn't probably be playing. So I don't know. I really have no idea what the solution should be, but gosh, I'm not sure.
I think it's a contact sport. And if you have a quarterback that's going to be mobile, the only thing I can think to say is you're playing football. Don't slide. You're going to get hit. Plain and simple. If you're going to run the risk to run the ball to pick up the first down, be man enough to take the damn hit. Plain and simple.
I think we're overthinking this quite a bit, with the NFL. But I will say, it makes things really complicated when you do play quarterbacks that are going to be very similar to Jalen Milroe, in the sense that as a defender, how should you train to hit a quarterback? Should you train to approach him softly, let him make the decision, and let someone like Jalen Milroe run you over, or should you approach it more like, a Jared Goff or Daniel Jones or any other quarterback? Really, 75-80% of the quarterbacks out there that want to get down, but sometimes get down too late. You never know who you're going to get. Jalen Milroe may actually get down sometimes, or he may run you over. But how do you approach a player like that when you don't know what he's going to do? So it's kind of very hard as a defender on how to tackle a quarterback without making the wrong decision of just letting him slide. But then if you let him slide, what if he keeps going like we see with that fake slide with Patrick Mahomes? I think the only thing you can do is if you do a fake slide, it's going to be a penalty, 5-10 yard penalty or whatever. I can see them doing that. But at the end of the day, I think the only reason we're really having this conversation, and it's a bigger deal in the NFL than it is college, is because money. Like,
Yeah, 100%. That's why
you've got a mortgage with legs running at you.
Yeah.
You've got these, franchises hinge on the quarterback. And if the quarterback goes down, like we've seen with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins with Tua and Trevor Lawrence, and then you got their backups come in, and now they look completely different. I mean, they suck. I mean, Jacksonville Jaguars weren't that great anyways, but they are. I mean, you can admit the Jacksonville Jaguars are a much different team without Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I just think that is their guy. They just don't have all the pieces around him, but it's evident. I mean, your quarterback is your quarterback, and especially when you have people like Patrick Mahomes and these other athletes, Lamar Jacksons, that are these generational talents, that makes it even more worse when they get hit, late. But at the end of the day, I think we just got to get back to the simplicity of the game. It's football. You know what you sign up for. I don't pay for the NFL Sunday ticket. I don't watch football to make the game safer. I want the game to be safe. Don't get me wrong. I think there should be more technology in the helmets and things like that. But changing the rules year after year after year, it's tiring. It's like, guys, like football is football. Like, you got pads. Like, that's where it started. You got pads. And it's like, let's go hit. Like, and if you're a quarterback, then get down quicker. I think defenders need to stop learning how to hit a quarterback, and the quarterback just needs to learn how to get down quicker and not get hit.
I mean,
that's my problem. My problem with it, though, is like the problem is that everyone blames the defender because it's a late hit, it's a dirty hit. But over half the time, it's not even on the defender. It's because the quarterback waits to the very last possible second to slide. They get the penalty, and then they come up looking like this, Well, that's on you, jackass. Like,
Yeah, so we had
you
somebody
know, that's the
so we have
irritating part to me.
Gus in the chat. He brought up maybe an interesting topic. He says the quarterback should get a movable mound like in baseball, and if the D touches a sensor on the mound, he's down. So quarterback essentially should not get touched at all. Basically, if you impede that mound, then he's considered down. And I mean, I'm asking, like, thinking, like, we were talking like 2-hand touch. Like, is that basically, and maybe if that's really how serious we're going to be, maybe that is an appropriate solution. Because, like, this has become such an offensive game that, you know, if he breaks the pocket, I don't think that obviously it's 2-hand touch. I think it's free game behind the line of scrimmage. You get a sack, you know, whatever. But maybe beyond the line of scrimmage, like, good gosh, that's too much. So he says, no, not even. That's too much. You just break a sensor line and the buzzer sounds and the play is dead. See, and I mean, like, maybe that's what we're looking
would hurt
at.
people like Lamar Jackson.
It would, but like, that's what
their hands on the ball. He's still able to.
Exactly. And so that's what, and that it's crazy because it's unfortunate we would not be having this conversation if really Trevor Lawrence, I feel like, wasn't injured. And again, I think that's a situation where that play should have never happened. I think it was malicious to
that was blatant.
Yeah, it was malicious to an extent. And like, I'm not calling the guy's character out. Like, you know, I just think that, you know, in football, like you're just out there to headhunt in a sense. You don't want to end anybody's career. Like, y'all have all made it. I don't think that was his intent at all. But I do think that he was just like, oh, I'm about to lay a lick on this dude, and just maybe went a little bit too hard on it. So,
well, in this game, the game is played fast. It's incredibly fast.
It's crazy
I mean,
fast. You got guys
a lot of times
4-5 right at each other.
I mean, you've got matters of second, not even like milliseconds to make a decision at times. Are you going to hit or you're not going to hit? You know, I mean, these guys move fast. They train at an incredible amount of speed, and so a lot of times they play to where it's more instinct than anything. Like, it's just reaction. It's more than just thinking about it. It's just react. And sometimes you don't realize what you've done until the play is done and it's over, right? And you're like, oh shit, I just like this dude's like got rigor mortis, like he's all stiffened up and everything. You know, it's just like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not trying to, you know, defend the hit or anything like that, but at the same time, like, we have to understand that I don't think anyone goes out there with the intent to end a career. You know,
no, not at all.
At least you hope not.
Yeah, no, I agree, because there were talks about this guy that I can't remember his name, and much less if I did, I don't think I could have pronounced it, so I don't want to do him a disservice. But there were talks about the NFL suspending him indefinitely. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, because I don't think that he was out here to necessarily kill. You know, like, that's potentially what it should be. So then they came out and gave him a 3-game suspension. I think that was fair. Like, yes, I don't think that was his intent, was to try to end Trevor Lawrence's season, which is inevitably what happened. But
the politics of it, go ahead and suspend him for 3 games.
Yeah.
Whether he's innocent or guilty, for the fans, just suspend him 3 games because it's politics.
Yeah.
Like,
this is why I think college is better, in my opinion.
Oh, shut
that's
up.
Just me.
Shut up. Y'all are going to be doing the same thing with all these college players, which we're about to get to, getting paid all this money. Gus's solution is he wants to see a lot more Andrew Lucks out there. He wants to see football being a little bit more like golf. Need to see some more gentlemen. Andrew Luck, remember, every time he'd get tackled, he'd, hey, good hit, bro. Good hit. He'd go line up under the center again, ready for the next play.
The last thing I want to see is the NFL become too regulated. Too regulated. At that point, I think the fans will. It will slowly.
They 100%. They've got to
like it.
They've got to find a balance.
You can't have too many laws on the game. You can't.
It'll be flag football in 10 years,
and no one will watch it. No one watches the Pro Bowl, and that's what it is. No one watches that stuff. No one cares.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even remember the last time I've seen a Pro Bowl.
Me either, honestly. What I do want to get into, though, we'll move on
to
the next topic, and that is the transfer portal. I saw this tweet from Ben Carey. 1.7 million other people saw it as well. This is hilarious. Have y'all seen this guy? It says modern day transfer portal. He's got a Georgia, and I'll zoom in on the picture, but he's got a Georgia tattoo on his bicep, wearing a Penn State jersey. But if you look at his profile picture, it's USC. And it's just like, so if I zoom in, is that going to work? You can see kind of the Georgia tattoo right there. So we got a Georgia tattoo. And again, that could maybe be like his high school, because I know some high schools use like college logos. So that could be his high school. But the speculation is quite
Then flex the other arm.
right.
Then flex the other arm.
But maybe that's where he's
Great.
maybe he's like, man, I'm trying to represent for my school. But I saw that and I'm like, man, that is actually kind of crazy, right? We got Penn State, Georgia, USC is his profile picture. He's got all three. He basically gets to choose wherever the hell he wants to go.
Oh God.
I'm curious to see. I'm curious to
probably
see
does.
Dalton. I think I'm curious to see what happens here, because ever since NIL stuff has kind of came out, there's been a lot of people leave Alabama. So I'm curious to see how Dalton feels about the transfer portal. And like, they've recruited well. Alabama always recruits well, and then they come in. Some of these freshmen, they come in, don't play, and then they leave their second. They're leaving for their sophomore year. So I'm curious to see how other people's reactions are to this portal. We've been active talking with Dalton about it. We in our group chat. So I was just curious to see what Dalton's take is on it. Now that we can talk kind of in person, just kind of hear what Dalton has to say about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing I have to say is a lot of people are seeing this as like, woo, Bama, they're losing everybody. But also don't forget that we're not in the playoffs. No one gives a crap about the bowl game. So we're having an early heyday on the portal. Why would Texas and Georgia and all them, like, everybody's like, Georgia's keeping all their players? I'm like, yeah, no shit, because they're in the fucking playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait until the playoffs are fucking over, people, because when the playoffs are over, you're going to see way more portal transfers, not just from Bama. People are like, look at Texas, look at Georgia, look at them. Like, why is Bama losing so many people? Like, Kalen DeBoer is awful. It's like, no, we just didn't get into the playoffs, so basically everyone's having like an early portal transfer day for Bama. But just wait till the playoffs are over and see how everything lays out. So I'm not worried. Also, yes, Bama has lost a lot of people, but really, the people that we've lost most of them weren't even starters. If anything, if they started, like one of the receivers we lost, like a lot of them, I think we lost one receiver. Everybody's like, oh, this sucks. It's like, yeah, but he had one catch for 6 yards. It's just like, yeah, like he had a great future. Don't get me wrong, he was a 5-star athlete or whatever. Like, don't get me wrong, DJ's like, there you go, like, oh, one catch for 6 yards, 5-star athlete. It's just like, God forbid, I wish. Like, I know DJ, I had to say for DJ Wood, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, but they didn't do much for us this year anyways, right? It's like, so what we've lost so far is not really a big deal. I mean, the biggest one for me is Justice Haynes. Like, we lost one of our main running backs. So we still don't really know where he's going to go yet. It looks like it's either going to be Ole Miss or South Carolina. I kind of have my money on South Carolina right now. But other than that, we just signed like the number one running back in the nation, like number one or number two, in Akelin Deer. So I mean, at the end of the day, what we're losing big is currently, actually, if things fall as they're supposed to, they're being replaced. Jalen Milroe, we don't know where Jalen Milroe's going. Is he going to the NFL? He has one more year of eligibility still, and he's been graduated. He didn't go to school this whole past year, and he could do it again next year. But right now, it looks like he's going as like the top 3 quarterback, I think number 3 or number 4 in the NFL draft. So they're debating whether or not he'll take it. I think he will, because the NFL likes young quarterbacks. Why do another year and be a Stetson Bennett, right? Jalen Milroe just turned 22, so he'll be 23 at worst when he declares for the draft next year. But I still think he'll go. The NFL loves young quarterbacks. He will stupid not to go because he's already graduated. I'd say go. And you got Keelan Russell coming in. We've got one of the number one Texas quarterback of the Gatorade Player of the Year for Texas, and one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the nation. So
that was my thing. Is I felt bad for y'all for maybe 5 minutes, but then I saw who y'all were getting in return, and I'm like, oh God, all you Bama fans, like, cry me a river. Everybody that's transferring.
But like I said, I'm not crying.
No, I know.
Those are people that are
but it's
they're
just like,
uninformed. But if you
it's just
listen to
like,
what's going on and actually pay attention, it's like there's nothing to be scared about for Bama. Like, yeah,
no, y'all are only
we
getting
currently have like
better.
16 total transfers, but
Yeah,
yeah, we'll be
y'all are
fine.
literally
Bama's
only getting
fine.
better. But the chat saying what needs to work on in Alabama is DeBoer's fit. They say Paul Bear
Yeah, I
Bryant
was gonna say
slapped the
Dalton. I
shit
love you,
out of
man.
DeBoer.
Oh, leave him alone. He'll be fine. Y'all love him. He's. Hey, look. There's nothing more that I want for a coach that someone who can truly be themselves. Who wants that for it, right? Why would I come on this podcast and try to be somebody I'm not?
I mean, dress for the
Right?
job.
That's
Though.
what I want from my coach too. Be yourself.
Dress
Be
for the
yourself.
job.
Come out there and be Kalen DeBoer, right? So at the end of the day, like we're so used to Nick Saban, and yes, God forbid, I wish I had him back. But I also don't want Kalen DeBoer to try to be Saban either. I want him to be Kalen DeBoer, and Kalen DeBoer create a name for himself. So at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with the fit. People are just upset. Bama fans are upset because he's not, meeting the par. But at the end of the day, he's the winningest first-year Alabama coach Bama's ever had.
That's to say,
Like,
he had a better first year than Saban did.
yeah, so like there's a lot to hang your hat on, guys. Like the guy just doesn't have the fit, whatever. But I mean, look at everything else. I mean, this dude did pretty good his first year in the SEC. So I'm not too upset about it. Wish we were going to playoffs, but we didn't. At the end of the day, whatever. I'm still going to sit back, sip a little whiskey, enjoy the playoffs, hope Texas loses,
Yeah,
and
I think
just move on.
I think me and DJ had talked about the transfer portal and all that stuff kind of the past couple of days. And one of the things that I think that they need to do is I don't think the portal needs to be open until after the national championship. And you see, like, let's talk about Penn State's backup quarterback. He entered the transfer portal, not joining his team in the playoffs on a national championship run, and entered the portal. We got news that a Big Ten school is offering Quinn Ewers $4 million to come be a quarterback next year. We don't know what Big Ten school it is. I don't know, but I don't think anybody should be able to join or make moves in the portal until after the national championship. But another thing too is that with the transfer portal and the NIL money, I'm a Longhorns fan, and Texas benefits from it because they got deep pockets. It's a very, very wealthy atmosphere at Texas, and you have other schools who don't have that said money that can spend the amount of money to get the best of the best to come and play for their schools. So another thing that we talked about is like putting a salary cap on how much a university can use through NIL money to get players come to their university. I don't know what they're going to do and how they're going to control the transfer portal and all the NIL stuff. I do think that there needs to be like a deadline of when you can enter the portal and then when you can start actually going to go out and recruit these guys to come and play for your school. Like even Texas, they had a wide receiver who left like 3-4 weeks ago and went into the portal before Texas even played in the SEC championship, before Texas even played Texas A&M. So I don't like that part of it just because you're allowing these kids to do whatever they want with basically no repercussion. And I hope they find a way to fix this issue. I just don't know how you're going to fix it, and because you're going to have people who can afford and have deep pockets like Oregon, like Texas A&M, and Ohio State, Michigan. Like you have, they're going to get mad if you put a salary cap on it because they can afford to go well deep into other people's pockets. But then if you put a salary cap on it, you have other schools that will benefit from that. So I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this situation. I do think that they need to do something with the amount of players going in and out of the portal, and they need to set a deadline of when you can actually start recruiting people into like from the portal and when you can go into the portal. I think just being able to jump into the portal in the middle of the year is absolutely insane to me. But
I think that's why
I think
college football is so fun and interesting right now is because it has so many problems. and people feel like they have such a voice, which is, it's good. It is really good. And I mean, it gives us obviously that topic of conversation to talk about, because like college football playoffs is the first year that we're signing 12 team lead, or 12 teams in this college football playoffs. And again, we had talked about whether, what's the cutoff. 10 wins was my opinion, and we don't have to get back into that. But now we're starting to see is like, well, now that the 12 teams are in it, now we're starting to see that there's a little bit of issues with this transfer portal. There's always been issues. Like, again, Nathan, you were talking about this Penn State guy and where he could possibly go. It's crazy that this is even happening, where this guy is currently the backup quarterback. And he said, oh, hell no, I'm going in the transfer portal. Your team is in the playoffs. And now you can no longer play with them because you are in the transfer portal and no longer enrolled at Penn State. So you can't play. And that's crazy that we're seeing that. And these guys are just like, no, I'm not here to be a backup. I'm here on my way out. But what we also see is like the opposite side of this, where this guy like TJ Finley, he was at my alma mater, Texas State. But prior to that, LSU, Auburn, Texas State, this last year, Western Kentucky. Now he just entered the transfer portal again, and he's at Tulane. That is insane.
Instead of saying committed right there, it should say uncommitted. Like, this dude has the inability to stay committed.
Yeah.
He's that's
still
crazy.
He's going to Tulane to
committed
decide.
shouldn't even be in his vocabulary.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
So I guess, Gus, while we're kind of still rambling on, Gus, can you explain what you mean by weekly portal moves? Kind of curious as what
about mean. Like how I guess he was kind of talking about how players can just like in the middle of the week. That's not like Jonte Cook did at Texas. He kind of just middle of the season was like, deuces, I'm going to the portal. I don't know. I'm guessing that's what he means. I don't know.
But that doesn't make any sense to me, because how can you just walk in and transfer and then just learn and play like that quick?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if it was a weekly portal move, it's more like you're going to sit the next 4 games to learn the playbook and get implemented into the offense or defense right away.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we were kind of on the same page.
Change
like
teams immediately. That's what I'm saying. And DJ, you're and to go off that free agency, how do you fix this?
Paulson.
You can't unless what's crazy.
He said 1 week you're taking classes at Texas, next week you're taking classes in Missouri. But
I mean, that's ridiculous.
I don't know
that's not gonna happen. I think if that did, like, you're sitting the next 3 at least minimum games, and then before you know it, that you only got however many left in the season. So I just don't see that being possible. But to fix your idea of like fixing all this, I think the only way is to get it closer and closer and closer to the NFL. It's going to become the NFL just for younger players right out of high school. And that's exactly what people who love college football don't want. Like, I don't watch a whole lot of NFL because I love college football. Thank God they play on different days, so I do still watch the NFL. But any day of the week, I'm choosing the college football. But I mean, you might as well just have NFL on Saturday and NFL on Sunday. I mean, it's going to be the same thing just with younger cats. And so the only way to fix it, and I think, like you were saying, DJ, is like there's so many issues. And I think college football is still trying to create that image of college football and be their own without molding too much from the NFL. But I think the only way to fix these problems is to become the NFL.
Right,
like,
because
it's going to have a salary cap. It's going to have free agency.
Because
you're going to have to commit and sign a 3-year deal.
What's happening
mil,
at this point is that the college football, it's always been a business. But what the issue is, and like that was always my thing, and I was always down for players to get paid, but there needs to be regulation. Because what college football used to be is we had these 18 to 20-year-olds going out there performing, and then there was a handful of guys who were just making millions and millions and millions of dollars, which were dependent upon these guys' success, which is actually kind of crazy. So now the fact that we're starting to see these players get paid, now what fans are going to demand are protection. Their business model is completely shifted to an approach that's much more focused like the NFL. That's why all of the kickoff rules have happened in the NFL. All these sliding rules that we talked about to kick off this episode today it's all to protect the players. Now we're seeing these quarterbacks and guys get paid this money. And again, I think that's where college is a little bit different. None of this is guaranteed. what we're seeing, and again, if I scroll down this Dylan Raiola, what we're seeing, reportedly, there's schools that would be willing to offer Raiola $12.5 million as a transfer. None of that, though, is guaranteed. They can throw that and say, hey, bro, we'd love to pay you $12 million to come here and play. But if he doesn't start, if he doesn't perform, they ain't got to pay him nothing. It's all just like, hey, this is what we'd be willing to offer you. So it's all off of hearsay. Nothing. You're not signing a contract to go there, and it's not guaranteed money. If you don't go there and you don't perform, then you're not going to get paid that money. So then that's another thing that's an issue is we've got people who aren't even affiliated with the schools outside of donors saying like, hey, we'd be willing to pay you this money. And then these guys transfer and they don't perform. It's like, dude, now you've kind of messed up the entire ecosystem. Like you've got a school where you just performed really well with, like DeQuan Finn, who transferred, I forget his previous school, Toledo, and came to Baylor. He was an all-MAC guy. First team all-MAC guy, came to Baylor, was the backup. And now he's transferring back out because he's like, oh, I'm not here. And it's just like, man, I feel like you just kind of lost a year. Like you had it all figured out. So it's crazy. Like, yes, I think that like we are starting to see college football. They're going to have to start taking this approach of like the NFL where they're going to have to create a salary cap because there's no reason that Texas and Oregon can just cough up this money. It's not sustainable.
Well, it's like, did you see too, like the players are going to have a lot more power. Like they have a lot more power. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing either, but in the instance where you're going to see issues is like the Florida Gators. They had
the linebacker.
Yes,
that was
linebacker. The linebacker came out and was like, "Hey, I want X amount of money, like millions of dollars. I want to be able to start right away, and I want to play on all third downs,
and 75% of the defensive snaps."
And 75% of the defense snaps of the season. And like he came out and he set the contingencies and it's like, and I want this money. And Florida looked at him and said, "Fuck no, get the fuck out of here." And like,
see ya. They said, "See ya, brother. See ya."
Like, we're not doing that. But
that's the thing too, though.
Players are now getting cocky with it.
Yeah, and that's another thing too is why there's a good possibility that they won't put a salary cap on it because, you'll get to the point to where these players are going to do like what he did, and the university or the coaches are going to be like, "Oh, bye, okay, see ya."
But then,
whatever.
it's
not like the NFL. It's not like the NFL where like you got slim pickings. Like at college, you're like, all right, I'll just go to the next guy in the portal. Who cares? You know what I mean? But what it doesn't really irritate me. It just blows my mind. Is that like look at Texas, right? Texas is in the playoffs and they're making the national champion. They're making a run at the national championship. And you already have schools contacting Quinn Ewers, who's the starting quarterback at Texas, who's going to be the starting quarterback at Texas during this championship run. Now, with that being said, though, I don't think Ewers goes to the NFL next year. I don't see it happening. His draft stock has plummeted. But he probably will play college football next year, but it will not be at the University of Texas. I don't know.
Goes back to Ohio State.
I don't think it'll be Ohio State. I think it'll be
a legit possibility. I think it'd be dumb. I'm sure that they've got another prospect. I don't think Will Howard's the answer.
I'm sure. My guess is probably Oregon, but I just think it's weird that's why I think it needs to be after the national championship is played. Then all these schools can start recruiting in the transfer portal. I think it's crazy at the fact that these Big Ten schools or this Big Ten school.
Z Paulson said that he's hearing Purdue.
Could you imagine that? Isn't that
where I don't know who the sources are.
Went? He follows the
that's where Hudson Card went.
Follows the Hudson Card.
Go the Hudson Card route. But it doesn't make me mad that schools are doing this because they want to find their guy, their quarterback or whatever. I think it's crazy at the fact that like you can be a head coach and be like, oh, you know what? Texas is playing a playoff game this weekend. Let's just call Quinn Ewers up. Like, hey, brother, $4 million if you come to this school.
See, but that's tampering. That is not allowed. That should not be happening because that's what I have right here that I kind of saw is a potential tampering gate that's going to probably come about because this guy here for 1-3 he's kind of the guy that breaks a lot of this news for us. But Missouri transfer true freshman committed to Ole Miss, has 3 years of eligibility remaining. But if you look, whenever he declared for the transfer portal, filled out his paperwork and stuff, it was less than 12 hours before he made his decision. And it was like, sure, you can kind of look at it as like, nah, like, you know, maybe Ole Miss was his dream school. He didn't have the opportunity when he first was there, and now he has the opportunity and he wants to play. And it's like, but the actual real side of that is there was probably some tampering, that people were probably reaching out. The recruiting department was probably reaching out to him like, hey, let's try to figure this out. And I don't know. It is crazy. And that's just that's the stuff that's got to go on. And I mean, that shit happens in the NFL too. Like that just happened with Kirk Cousins going to the Atlanta Falcons, who they just benched, by the way, for rookie Michael Penix. So that's even crazy too. But they had to pay some fines, and I don't even know. I think they may have lost a draft pick for tampering with him whenever he was still with the Minnesota Vikings, about trying to get him there because they weren't able to talk to him through that window. And like the fact that teams are reaching out to Quinn Ewers, again, that's probably just speculation because that's actually tampering and they can't do that. But still, there's probably a little bit of a legitimate case that is happening for sure.
Well, did y'all see what I had sent to y'all too the other day about Jalen Mbakwe, the cornerback that we had? I'm sure they're going to be looking into that right away because, I mean, there were reports coming out on X saying per sources or per reports, like they were coming out, and Jalen Mbakwe wasn't even in the portal.
Well, that was from this.
He is with Alabama.
I saw the reports were from this Hayes Fawcett guy who's the guy that's been breaking all of this. Like he is a credible source.
Yeah, so there were sources coming out saying Jalen Mbakwe is planning on entering the transfer portal after receiving a 7-figure contract or money from a school, but the school was never spoken of. Which school? A lot of people are saying that it was possibly either Ole Miss or I want to say, I don't know, but I want to say I heard it was Ole Miss was one school.
They got some shit going on over there.
Right, and that's what they were saying, was just like he was given like this offer of 7 million figures or whatever. Well, then Jalen Mbakwe literally like 24 hours after the reports come out sends out this huge thing to Alabama. Was like, hey, I just want to thank Kalen DeBoer and Coach Roach and all these other the staff and the fans and everything. He's just like, but I am deciding to leave and enter the transfer portal and yada yada yada. And it's just like, how's that? And Nick Saban brought a whole thing out about it too, how this is tampering, and that this should be investigated and yada yada yada. But then all of a sudden, this morning, Jalen Mbakwe goes, I have decided to pull back my transfer portal and stay with the University of Alabama. Yeah. So obviously it sounds like Alabama worked something out with him and matched or figured something out. I mean, this guy was they plan on him being, he didn't get a whole lot of playing time this past year, but with who he is and with the recent cornerbacks that we've just lost to the portal, they plan on this guy, even before they left, to be one of our studs, to be a leader, right? So this was a huge loss for us. I was going to say that was the biggest loss that would have been for Bama. Like, it would have been horrible if he left, and the fact that we're able to retain him is big. But I still think, even though he's staying, the tampering still needs to be investigated on what exactly happened and how they contacted him. But when he wasn't even in the portal.
And you know what's crazy?
I think DJ said it. I think you said it best, though, DJ. And you have now entered the era of college football to where nobody wants to be a backup. Everybody wants to start and play, and that's why you see so much movement through the portal, because these players are paid, yeah, and like, look at Alabama, look at Georgia, look at Texas. Like, Jonte Cook was a 5-star freshman wide receiver for Texas, barely got any playing time, and he's like, I want to be on the field. Well, it's kind of hard when you're back up to Isaiah Bond.
Right.
You know what I mean? like, okay.
And I think it's
be better than Isaiah Bond. You're not better than Isaiah Bond. He's like, well, if you're not starting me, I'm leaving. And that's what you're seeing. You have all these 4-star guys who are these big schools, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Auburn, or Ohio State, Michigan, or whatever. And they're like, I want to start now. Yeah. And their coach goes, well, you're not good enough to start now because the guy in front of you is better. And they're like, okay, well, then see ya. I'm going to the portal. I'll go play at Auburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and that's gonna make shit complicated too, because like you got Jackson Arnold, right? Is that his name? Arnold Jackson or whatever,
Jackson Arnold.
Yeah,
the
and
quarterback
he
for
went
Oklahoma.
to
And now
Auburn.
he's looking at transferring to he was either gonna be Bama
He's
or
at
Auburn,
Auburn
were the
now.
rumors.
He's at
Right.
Auburn.
So I saw that, but he was making his decisions between Bama and Auburn. He ended up choosing Auburn, which I think was smart because you don't know what's going on right now with the Jalen Milroe situation, and then you already have the commit signed inked on paper for Keelan Russell. So it just makes sense for him to go to Auburn.
Yeah, he wouldn't have started at Bama.
But like
You start a job at Oklahoma, brother. You ain't starting at Bama, dog. Like, come on.
right, but like what makes that complicated is you're going to run into situations where what if Quinn Ewers was looking at going to Auburn, like hypothetically, but but
But
but
pack his bag.
right, I know, for Texas, right,
Manning's
but
time. This is Manning's time.
his bags have already been packed and he didn't pack them,
Yeah.
right? But
I'll hire the moving company for Quinn, brother. I don't care. See ya.
there you go. But no, it's just like it's gonna make stuff complicated because what if Quinn goes, or like what if Keelan Russell is like, watch Jalen Milroe be like, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying another year, and then you've got Keelan Russell. It's like, well, fuck, I'm not gonna be fucking sitting around being the number one quarterback in the nation, sitting behind Jalen Milroe for a year and not start until my sophomore year. Fuck that. I'm going to Auburn, and now you got fucking Arnold and fucking Keelan Russell fucking fighting for a position. Now Arnold's like, hold up, what the fuck? I didn't fucking come here for a quarterback battle. I came here to start. You know what I mean? So I can see it make things complicated because then what if Keelan Russell wins? Is Arnold gonna enter the transfer portal again?
Yeah.
So it's gonna make things complicated as shit.
The only thing too, I do want to say this real quick is that your culture at your program is still important too, because the fact that Manning is still at Texas, that has something to say about the culture and or the coach that Sarkisian is. But I will say this though, the fact that we kept Manning even for this year, I'm happy with it, and I'm glad that we did. But going into next year with the decision that Quinn Ewers makes, I fully believe that if Quinn Ewers does come back, and if he goes to Sark like, hey, I'm coming back and I'm going to play at Texas, I believe that Sarkisian looks at him and goes, well, if you play at Texas, you're going to be a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can.
They're not going to even give him.
If you can hang.
Yeah, his only hope, like it would be dumb to even entertain the idea of like a quarterback battle. Your only hope is that if Arch gets hurt, and that's what comes.
Yeah, I don't think. I think Quinn plays college football next year. It will not be at the University of Texas at all. There's no way.
Yeah. So no, kind of the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and I just kind of saw this and I was getting real tired of it. This is whenever my empathy, sympathy, whatever you want to call it, went out the door for Alabama, but not only Alabama, but kind of all SEC schools, is because, again, what I hear a lot, especially what I heard this last week whenever I was trying to make a case for an ACC team like Miami to get in, or even my Baylor Bears to get in, not my Baylor Bears to get in, a Big 12 team to get in. I'm sorry. Baylor Bears should have never been in. But for a Big 12 team to get in, and it's crazy, and everyone's like, well, your level of competition isn't that great. Your level of competition isn't that great. But then what we see here is like these guys who transfer out and they're commanding $1 million. And I thought that this was kind of worded correctly. Love seeing the SEC and the media tell everyone how bad all of the other conferences are all season, just for 4 SEC teams to get into a $1 million plus bidding war from a wide receiver from an ACC team. And it's like that about sums it up. That literally about sums it up. So maybe one of the best guys in the ACC, and then it's just like, yeah. So no wonder, again, the level of competition is better. Y'all are able to afford this. Your media rights are out the door compared to what everybody else can afford, and that's why I'm saying that there needs to be a little bit more regulation. Because even, again, you look at these guys who are getting drafted, they're playing on so many different teams, and Dalton, you loved saying in the previous years, you loved saying built by Bama. And I'm not saying that this is a dig versus Alabama. Colleges aren't able to really say that anymore. Nothing is built by a program. You're seeing players transfer. They're maybe at a school for 1 to 2 years, and then they transfer to you, and they got another 1 year before they're drafted, maybe 2 years before they're drafted. You're not seeing a whole lot.
I think that's
you're
terrible.
not seeing a whole lot of program builders at all. Now, I do think that there should be a transfer portal. Maybe you get
Not
there.
anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah, but maybe, and like, I'm okay with the transfer portal because I do think that it isn't okay for like someone to go to maybe Alabama. And I know we've talked a ton about Alabama today, and it's just they're kind of a good example for this right now. But they go to Alabama, Nick Saban, who just signed a 5-year contract the year prior, so you expect him to be there for another 4 years after that season, he unexpectedly retires. And it's like, well, dude, I wanted to play for Nick Saban. I don't want to play for whoever the hell is coming in next. I want to transfer, right? And maybe he's like, you know what? I'll give it a year. I'll give DeBoer a year and kind of see how DeBoer rolls and flows and whatever else. And like, nah, I don't like this program. I don't like what he's doing. I want out. I think that that's where a transfer is acceptable. I think that that's where we can make exceptions if there's kind of like that coaching change. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it's getting out of hand. So, I mean, there's a lot of gray areas that we do need to see this. I just kind of thought that this is an interesting concept because even if I look up here, one of the top, I loved watching this guy at NC State. Absolute stud of a wide receiver. The number 2 wide receiver right now in the transfer portal.
Who's that? Conception?
Yes. And right now he has a visit with Colorado. He just had a visit with Colorado and he's expected to go visit Alabama. And then he's also going to go to A&M and Miami. So it's like no matter what, you're seeing Alabama in all of these conversations. And it's not just Alabama. You're seeing all of these other SEC teams who are coming in for even this guy, right? And then we got this guy who was a true freshman, really good guy, 3 years of eligibility left. You even look at Mateer, right? John Mateer, one of the top quarterback prospects in the transfer portal. OU is fighting heavily for him. No matter what, you're seeing SEC teams come like crazy. So it's like, yes. And again, no one's having the argument that the SEC isn't the best conference. And I mean, yeah, you can have the argument about the Big Ten, but I'll give you all the benefit of the doubt and say that the SEC is the best conference, but no kidding, right? That's where we're seeing a lot of this. So I'm interested to see how a lot of this kind of unfolds, yada, yada, whatever. So anyways, though, I think that that's kind of it that we've got. Anyone have any closing thoughts before we kind of wrap this up?
Yeah, I'll say something real quick. The one thing I do like about the NIL is it sucks, like, from a standpoint of being a program builder, you don't like the transfer portal and NIL deal has kind of ruined that a little bit. But I will say this, like the games that Alabama lost, they lost really close football games this year. They were very exciting football games to watch. They were fun.
Except for Oklahoma.
Okay, I'll give you that one, yeah. Except for Oklahoma. But even like the games that Miami lost, like they lost to Georgia Tech, that was an exciting game to watch. So you have these schools that typically get beat up by, like Georgia Tech gets beat up by Miami, and Bama usually beats up Vandy. But the NIL has kind of spread the love a little bit throughout college football, and that's why you get to see a lot more of exciting games. I think that part of the NIL has gotten a little. I think that's brought some good stuff to the game. So I like we've talked about though. There's got to be some sort of regulations, and I think college football is going to get a lot more interesting. Like even with the Georgia Tech Georgia game, like that was a very exciting game to watch. That was a fun game. So the NIL deal, it kind of like it doesn't weaken rosters a bit, but it makes it spread out more evenly. And like like everyone said, this is a weird year for college football because there was a lot of upsets and a lot of the number one team lost a lot. Texas lost the number one spot. Georgia lost the number one spot throughout the year. You know, it's just been an exciting year of college football, and that's what the NIL does. But like we've talked about before, regulations need to be set. But the idea of NIL has brought more excitement to the game because it's made the games more exciting.
I think I do agree. I think it was the right move. This is what college football needed, but now what we need to do is figure it out. And I mean, it's trial by fire. Like the system is broken right now, so you've got to kind of figure out a way. But I think what needs to happen is that we need to start seeing something put into play. Like shit, the transfer portal's been here for 3 years, I think, maybe even a little bit more. Like it's been around for, or shit, I guess it's been 6 years now. It's kind of crazy to even think about how fast time flies, but it's been this long and we're not seeing any type of regulation. I think that's what people are kind of demanding now that we're seeing these players get just ridiculous amounts of money. So anyways, that's about all that we've got from y'all. Dalton, did you want to add anything before we hop off here?
No, I think you guys pretty much said it all. Just we'll see how everything plays out, how everything happens, how the cards fall. A lot of growing pains. So that's about it for college football. There's changes that are brewing. And when there's changes, there's definitely going to be some things that need to get fixed. It always happens in the NFL still to this day. I just hope things don't get overly regulated and that we just don't see the NFL 2.0. That's all I really hope and pray for college football, and college football can just stay what it is and the most that it can.
I think that's
but
the
other than
future,
that,
though.
it's, I mean,
give it 10 years and you're looking at the NFL 2.0. It's going to be it's essentially a developmental league for the NFL. I mean, it kind of always has been anyways, but it's going to be a developmental league for the NFL. And that's it.
We look forward to talking to y'all next week about our playoff matchups this weekend. Enjoy it. It's
Recap.
Here. First game's Friday night, Indiana, Notre Dame.
Woo!
Me and Dalton picked Indiana, so we're going to roll it. Let's go. Hoosiers, baby.
I picked the spread.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah. I think I got Notre Dame.
Yeah, I got Indiana.
All right.
Well, my partner in crime is all over the place. Anyways, though, if you haven't subscribe already. Hit that notification bell. Get notified whenever we do live streams. Again, thank y'all for the ones that were posting in the chat. Thank y'all for the ones who are just kind of following along and listening to us. We always do greatly appreciate it. Thank y'all so much. Ride the pine. See y'all in the next one.